I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. First, I want to say thank you for joining the show. I know like you're really busy, so I appreciate you taking the time out.
No problem.
So I have a lot of questions, so let's just get right to it, okay?
All right.
Okay, so Markquann Smith, you are the executive producer of The Godfather of Harlem. So
Yes,
a little
I
bit
am.
about your background. You were born in Harlem, and you spent a
Yep.
lot of time in Queens growing up.
Yep.
So sometimes you hear people say, you know, you from Harlem if, you know, you from Queens if. So if for somebody that's not really, you know, from New York or knows it well, what would you say is the biggest culture difference between Harlem and Queens?
I mean, growing up in New York, you got like you have five different boroughs, and every borough has their own style and their own landscape. Like for example, like Harlem is about fashion and getting money, and they're like at the pulse of everything. Harlem was known for the place everybody wanted to go to party back in the days. They didn't want to go downtown to party. They wanted to come uptown. Princes and kings and dictators. Everybody was up there, partying, hanging out, enjoying themselves. So Harlem is like the Mecca. Queens, growing up in Queens, we were laid back. Certain parts of Queens are more faster. Like I grew up in Far Rockaway, and that's the like last stop on the A train. So coming out the Far Rockaway, all you had was the beach and the water, but then you had housing projects, and you can get in trouble and stuff. And our fashion was more like, I don't know. I was wearing a lot of like Timbs and Carhartts and things of that sort back in the days. That was like a Queens cat. Brooklyn cats are known for their like, there's a song that says uh Bronx is creating it. Queens, Brooklyn is taking it, and Queens keeps on faking it. That was well, we weren't fake in Queens, but Brooklyn was more of the like, I think the fatigue jackets and they were on they shit out there. Like you go out to Brooklyn, a lot of the sticker boys is from out there, and then you had Staten Island. You know what I'm saying? So New York is just a big melting pot. That's just like describing a dude from the Bay Area and a dude from LA. So that's how it
So do you
was out
think
here.
if you grew up in a different part of New York, you think maybe you would have taken a different route other than film, or you just knew like film was it?
Nah, I mean, I growing up, like I grew up in a community like film was my way out. Like watching movies and reading books like saved me, because I would watch a movie while you heard gunshots outside. So I would just close the door and make the room as dark as possible and turn the volume up to drown out everything that was happening outside. And then
Mm.
my older brother's an artist, and he got signed to Uptown Records back in the days, and he took me on the road with him. So I always knew I wanted to be in that creative spot and be able to create narratives, but I was also getting in trouble in the streets. So that was my way of kind of like altering what was happening outside. So I would just try to navigate that by just reading and looking at films and just being in a creative light.
So I wanted to touch on that. Your older brother, that's his father MC, correct?
Absolutely. Shout out to my brother. He just moved out to Vegas. He's in Vegas right now, so that's a great thing.
Nice, nice. So when your older brother, he gets a deal, because at this point you were out on your own, right?
Yeah, man. I was getting into things that I didn't have no business getting into, but that's just like every kid growing up in the inner. I can't say just like every kid, but a lot of people grew up in the inner city like that. I was I grew up in these projects in Far Rockaway called the 40s, and Beach 40 houses, was like a place like you made your mark. It was either you was going to be food or you was gonna be the chef. You know what I'm saying? You had to
Mm.
decide what it was gonna be. So yeah, I got into trouble, and my brother saw that I was going down the wrong path, being incarcerated, going to Spofford, a lot of juvenile facilities, I said, you know what, I want to change my life. And he brought me on the road and showed me a culture and showed me that there was things that were better than just Far Rockaway and these four corners that everybody was fighting over.
So I read that when you were on tour with your brother, you were also on tour with Tupac at some point.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, Tupac was a roadie for Digital Underground, and I was a roadie for my brother, and Tretch was a roadie for Latifah. So yeah, man, I miss Pac. We had some fun together. We were just two kids, man, that with big dreams, big ambitions, big aspirations, and yeah, that was good times, man. That was memories.
Do you have a favorite memory with him?
Oh man, I remember like see, as a roadie, we weren't really respected because we were like the first one off the bus, the last one back on. So while everybody was out there partying, hanging with the beautiful women and popping bottles of champagne, we had to make sure that, like from everything from the production set to the coffins are the big turntables that my brother used to use, had to be back on the bus. And then, Pac had his own thing he had to do, stage props and everything like that. That's what roadies did. So we used to knock on the doors. We used to be so mad. We used to go in the hallways of the hotel and knock on the doors and say room service with a garbage pail full of water. And as soon as as soon as somebody opens the door, we're throwing water on them and we run it. You know what I'm saying? So that was just that was just kids. We were just kids, just living our life, just chasing our dreams. We used to sit on the tour bus or outside the tour bus and just talk for hours. I was drinking my Mad Dog 2020, and Pac would drink his Cisco, and we would just be venting. But it was fun times, man. It was a time of the innocence.
That sounds like a lot of fun. So you
Yeah.
also, being a roadie with your brother being signed to MCA Uptown, you got to be around Andre Harrell and
Oh yeah.
Mary and
Yeah. I mean,
Josie. Because that was that era, the New Jack Swing era. How was
oh
that?
yeah, man. It was amazing, man. I remember when Uptown wasn't even an office. I think it was on Henry Street in Brooklyn, I believe. It wasn't nothing as big. That was when it went to 57th Street, and they had their whole floor. Andre, God bless the dead, was a real inspiration to myself and to my brother. I could speak for him because he gave him an opportunity. And I remember like Andre and Russell taking us to the China Club, meeting Shaquille O'Neal right after he came off of performing at the Apollo. Those are great memories. I mean, Teddy Riley, Guy, we all were family. It was like a camaraderie. Uptown was definitely a family, I could say.
Well, I have to take my hats off to you because that's the era of music I grew up in.
Yeah,
So, and to me, that was probably the best era of music. That whole
nah,
90s era.
absolutely.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
So after all of that, you end up going to Morgan State in Baltimore, Maryland, and you minored in
Yes.
theater.
Yeah, major in broadcasting, minor in theater. And
Nice.
Baltimore was a whole different place, different experience, different culture. I mean, to be in Baltimore, the music was different, but it was a great experience, going to a HBCU and just learning things that I didn't learn in life. I played basketball. So I originally started playing ball at Sullivan. It was a JUCO. I was redshirting. And after that I went to Morgan. And then in Morgan, like it was just crazy. I had a lot of fun. Big shout out to my friends, that were out there. Just a great experience, just going out to Baltimore. And the style and the fashion was different. DC style and fashion was different, from the used jeans and the damaged jeans in DC to the
Even the
hobo
language.
jacket, and even the language like hot dog is hot dog. Now I would say, yo, I'm going to get some sneakers. They'd be like, you want to get some tennis? You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
So
wait a
it's
minute.
it's,
I'm
it's
from
really,
Baltimore now. I'm
yeah, you
from
know what I'm saying. So
Baltimore.
you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I
I
do.
used to go to the Paradox and the Octagon,
Oh,
and
that was my
you know what I'm saying.
spot.
Yeah,
The
see,
dots.
it was really fun. You know what I'm saying? Like I I, I really like Baltimore and what it stood for. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I could never say anything bad about Baltimore.
Yeah, shout out to B More. So after that, then what?
Well, after that, I got a job. Had to find a job, so I started working at BET.
Okay.
Um, and BET, I was there for about 16 years. I worked in the music programming department, right under Tuma Basa. Tuma is the head of YouTube Music. Um, Great individual. I learned a lot from him. Kelly G. I mean, BET was like basically like me, my hazing, my learning the craft of what it was to be in a corporate side, and realizing that that I wasn't the type of individual that was meant to be behind the desk and push buttons. I was the type of person that said, I'm either going to chase my pension or my passion. It's up to you, you know?
Your screen has uh
O- Okay. Sorry. Hold on.
should be right back in the so
I'm sorry about that.
it's okay. It's okay. You
I
can
hope,
hear me
oh,
fine?
yeah, I hope you could chop it up.
Okay. Okay. Well all right, well
Sorry. My bad.
okay, well
I'm
let's
doing
start
this interview. Yeah. Yeah.
let's get into the Godfather of Harlem, where you are the executive producer. Godfather of Harlem is a TV series about Harlem gangster Bumpy Johnson during the 1960s. And the show premiered in 2019 on Epix. And since then, it's had 11 nominations. It's won an Emmy in 2020 for Outstanding Main Title Design and a Black Reel Award for television the same year. So tell me, how does that feel? You can't hear me? Oh boy. Can you hear me now? Can't hear me? Still can't hear me? What happened? I'm doing so good. And now your camera froze.
I don't know what happened, but you just went blank.
I'm blank now.
I can hear you now.
Can you see me?
I can see you as well.
Okay. Sorry. So I was saying you got 11 nominations and you won an Emmy, and you also won a Black Reel Award for television, all in the same year. And this was in 2020, and the show only premiered in 2019.
Yeah.
So, how does that feel? Like that has.
I mean, it's surreal. It's amazing. It took me 18 years to get this project done. Chivonne, it's been like a long, long journey, and it's still a journey. It started off in Lenox Terrace with my godmother Margaret Johnson, and she used to tell me these magical stories of Harlem. How she used to walk outside a tenement building and smell fresh laundry hanging out a window, or walk past 125th Street, you see James Brown's name on a marquee, or walk past Nat King Cole's barbershop, Sugar Ray Robinson's barbershop, excuse me. Nat King Cole would be sitting inside waiting to get a haircut, or even Jackie Wilson might be in the chair. So all these amazing stories she used to sit there and tell me every Sunday. But she also used to tell me about African Americans, how they used to migrate from the South, trying to escape Bull Connor's dogs and the water hoses, but they still came to social injustice and inequality up in Harlem. I mean, to be African American and purchase a hat at a hat store, the owner may want you to put on a shower cap on your head so the hat couldn't touch your scalp. Or African American family to even go purchase a steak dinner on a Sunday. Imagine just wanting to treat your family just for simple things in life, like a steak dinner, and they wouldn't allow you to eat with the rest of the patrons. They would have you standing outside, you know. So I wanted to tell the story of Harlem and the magic of it. And she also used to tell me about her grandfather, whose name was Ellsworth Raymond Johnson. He was from Charleston, South Carolina, but the streets knew him as Bumpy. And he didn't come up here to become a gangster. He actually came up here to become an attorney, like Malcolm X wanted to be an attorney. But when the bursar's office at City College found out that Ellsworth was attached to a black man, they denied his financial aid. And he wasn't just a gangster. He sat down with the best of them. He sat down with Maya Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, you know, Vito Genovese, the real cats that started the five families, you know, and they were all from Pleasant Ave. They didn't look at him as a nigger. They looked at him as a Negro, a smart Negro, you know. Even the warden in Alcatraz said he had the highest IQ that he ever had for a black man. He read Shakespeare, he read Nietzsche, he had self-published poetry. So I wanted the world to know about him, not what you saw in Hoodlum or what you saw in American Gangster or what you saw in the Cotton Club. Because he didn't die like an American Gangster depicted, that he died in front of 40 TVs, you know, talking about Pepsi was the best product. You know, that wasn't him. He actually died in my character's arms, you know. So I wanted to tell the real story of who he was. And, you know, it took us 18 years to get it done. And I'm glad that we were able to get it done, you know.
I'm glad that you were able to get it done. I think everybody can agree with me when I say well done.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So this is really more like your family legacy. So it's kind of personal.
Yeah. It's you know, my godmother, you know, I made her a promise, you know. And I'm glad I was able to deliver it. She wasn't here to actually see it be delivered, but she met all the parties involved, which means so much to me. She met Forrest, she met Chris, she met Jim, she met Nina, she met myself, and that means a lot to me, you know. So to be able to get a story done, and the narratives are so similar to what's happening in America today. The Harlem riots is the Ferguson riots. Colin Kaepernick is Muhammad Ali, you know. So I wanted to tell entertainment plus educational. So I call it edutainment. You know, I wanted history to be cool so you could sit down with your family and watch it, but also the music that could be dope as well too.
And we absolutely see that. You know, it's funny how you said how Colin Kaepernick is the Muhammad Ali. Because my question to you is, would you say that Kanye West would be more like a Adam Clayton Powell Jr.?
Nah, not at all. Because Adam Clayton Powell, he's not a character. Adam Clayton Powell is one of the most important civil rights leaders that's ever been in the world. You know, he's passed so many bills. You know, I know in the first season when you're watching Adam, you say, "Wow, he has such a big character." You know, you know, but that's how preachers were. You know, but that's why in the second season we wanted to show Adam more on the realness, but we also wanted to humanize him and show him as a person. So having Kanye West, comparing him, hell no. No, he was nowhere near Adam Clayton Powell. Adam Clayton Powell is such prolific, you know. He's done so much for the African American community, with the civil rights bills passed, with standing on the front line. You know, no shade to Kanye, but I would never compare him to Adam Clayton Powell.
Okay. Well, well, Adam Clayton Powell, yes, you're absolutely right. He has a phenomenal role in the first season, and you can definitely see through the relationships with him and Bumpy Johnson and Malcolm X how they have brought a strong unity within the Black community, even though they may have a difference of how it actually gets done. Why do you think today we don't have as many leaders or have those kind of leaders that are willing to fight that way to keep that unity within our community?
Well, you know what? You know, and this is just my personal opinion, there's something what's called tribalism, right? Mm-hmm. And when we take ownership in our community of what we do, and that's the first thing, is taking ownership. We have guns in the community. You know, let's stop using the narrative of, well, we're not bringing the guns in. It's the guys from Central America and it's the white people. when we take ownership and say this is what it is, and we start organically and ground up, then I think we'll be able to really move forward. But if we don't take that ownership right now, we won't be able to move forward. We'll always be blaming something on somebody, saying what this person is doing or what that person is doing. But what are we doing internally? And we showed that. For example, there was an episode in season 2 when we were talking about crabs in the barrel. Tribalism is real. I learned that from doing research on the Godfather of Harlem. When cats migrated up here to New York, whether you were from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, they migrated and they socialized amongst themselves. You go to Harlem, they have some cats from North Carolina in one bar, some other guys from South Carolina in another bar, Alabama, Georgia in another bar, Florida in another bar. But now the cats from North Carolina know, but South Carolina cat comes in that bar and buys a drink. You feel what I'm saying? So we have to really be unified amongst us as people, and then I think we'll be able to move forward, in unison.
You are absolutely right. I definitely agree with that. A little bit about your cast. You have an all-star cast. You have an amazing cast.
Thank
and you
you.
have Giancarlo Esposito, you have Paul Sorvino, Lucy Fry, and so many other people. How in the world did you pull a cast off like that? Like, that had to been a process.
Well, I have to, I didn't pull off anything other than working with the amazing casting of Disney and Meredith Tucker, and us, like we said, we all unified together. I mean, one person I did voice my opinion was my friend Nigel Thatch, who's playing Malcolm X. I voiced and said I wanted him to come in. I mean, usually an executive producer, like our jobs are different. We don't step on other people's toes. I don't tell Swiss Beats how to make a beat or what music or what artist. That's what he does. He's an artist. He's creative, and you have to respect that. And that's the same thing with executive producers and casting directors. But what I did though, I really firmly, put my hand up and said, please let Nigel come in and audition because I felt he was the right one for Malcolm X.
And he played that role. He is playing it. Now, Malcolm X and Bumpy, as we can see, they have a very close relationship. And before I saw the show, that's something I really didn't know. So how important was it to highlight that relationship between Malcolm and Bumpy Johnson?
Well, you have to understand that we gotta let's cross out Malcolm X and go to Malcolm Little. And after Malcolm Little is Detroit Red, right? Correct. So Detroit Red grew up in Harlem. I mean, he wasn't from Harlem, but he was raised in the streets of Harlem. So you would know he would have to bump into Bumpy. And then having stories and from my godmother and a lot of research that was done, she told me how Malcolm used to come up to Bumpy's house and play chess on Sundays and hang out. He wouldn't eat any pork or anything like that, but he'd have some cornbread or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was very important to show that dynamic. We always see our great civil rights leaders, but we forget that they're human too. We forget that Martin Luther King maybe like to watch dominoes with his family. Let's get Martin Luther King. Forget the I am a dream Martin Luther King. Let's find out who Martin was as a man. And maybe Malcolm X like. Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I said we forget about Martin Luther King Jr. and we always remember Martin Luther King. I have a dream, Martin Luther King. But let's forget about the I have a dream, Martin Luther King. Let's remember Martin Luther King as a man that might have liked to play cards or have eat macaroni and cheese and enjoy time with his family. Let's look at Malcolm X as a man who might enjoy like playing a game of pool. These are still human beings. They're still individuals. So I wanted to like really humanize and show who Malcolm X and Bumpy's relationship was.
I love it. Now we spoke a little bit about your history in music, and you've made it. You have told us how Swiss Beats is the executive producer of all of the music, and yep. we can definitely see the influence that hip hop has on the show. Just through having A$AP Ferg and Method Man on the show. You've had cameo from Jasmine Sullivan, then the opening credits of season 2 with DMX tribute. Will we ever get a cameo from Father MC?
I don't know. I don't know if my brother wants to cut off his beard, you know what I'm saying? Because we have to be period appropriate, you know? So like even with me, you know, I had to cut off my mustache and I was looking like a weirdo for like almost 6 months. No mustache, no beard, but that's how it was in the 60s. So you have to be really ready to be committed, you know what I'm saying, to really get into that, you know. But my brother's doing very well with his music. He has a company called F Media Corp in Vegas. He has a few artists. He has a huge talent showcase that's coming up in January. So
Nice.
he's really loving what he's doing, just creating and still making music.
So what other artists or cameos could we look forward to in season 3?
Oh, I have no idea, man. Like, you know, we're always cooking up something. We're just gonna have to see. I mean, the writers are doing their thing, so I'm not even mad. You know, I was glad to be able to get Whoopi on the show this second season. It was amazing working with her, loving her character. We just have to see what third season holds out for us.
Okay. Now there's one storyline with Bumpy Johnson that they touched on in Hoodlum, and I'm wondering if we're going to see it between him and Red Dillard.
Oh, not at all, because Red Dillard was, you got to understand, when you watch Hoodlum, right? Hoodlum was the Harlem Renaissance, right? That was pre 60s. This is post, after, you know, all of that stuff happened in the Harlem Renaissance. You know, we wanted to do something different that you haven't seen before. And I think this is what separates our show from everybody else's show. You know, being the fact you never saw the relationship of a mobster and a civil rights leader. So it's the collision of civil rights in the underworld. Similar to what Tony Soprano's relationship was with his therapist, or Walter White from Breaking Bad was with his with being a chemistry teacher and selling meth on the side. So we don't want to dive into stories that have been told before, you know, because it doesn't become original. We want to go somewhere where people like, wow, I didn't know that.
Nice. Okay. So what is, say, the craziest thing that's ever happened on the set?
Oh man, we couldn't really have anything crazy because we were shooting during COVID. So everything was like so tuned in and tight. It was like a tightly ran organization. So we all didn't really get to spend time with each other like we did season 1, as, you know, an excited crew to start working together and, you know, finding new family and bonding. Like season 2 was basically, let's get to work and get this done. Let's just try to work through this COVID and bring some great television to the audience that were really wanting to see the season 2 of Godfather.
Now, earlier you mentioned that it's been a very long journey, 18 years in the making.
Yes.
So I would imagine somewhere along the line, you probably had people in your ear telling you to give up. You might as well stop.
That's a crazy question. A crazy and interesting question. Because with me, Chivonne, I never had a plan B, right? I tell people all the time, you could chase your pension or your passion. That's up to you. You know, I never live for anyone else. I always live for me. You know, you can't let anybody be your dream killer, tell you when to give up on your dreams, what you want to do, your hopes, your aspirations. Because when you go to sleep at night, you go to sleep, those are your dreams. Those, you got to protect your dream. And you know, I know it sounds like real cliche, it's like pursuit of happiness, but it is the truth, because there's no bunk beds in the graveyard. When you leave today, you can't call me and say, hey, Markquann, you know, it's time for us to leave. No, it's time for you to leave, you know. So you have to go out there and get everything that you deserve and what you want in life. So I wasn't listening to anyone, and anyone that told me to give up, that means I need to just X you out my life. I need to just clean my palette of people like that around you.
And that's, you just answered everything I was gonna ask you. and I want people to hear that because I see this going around so much, and to hear that come out of your mouth and to see your accomplishment today, that is truly inspiring. Again, I just want to say hats off to you. I know you're a busy man. I don't want to hold you too long, but I just want to say one thing. You know, it's been kind of a crazy year in hip hop. So far this year, hip hop alone, we've lost 12 rappers. And most recently, you know, we've had the stabbing of Draco the Ruler and the murder of Young Dolph and even the murder of Jacqueline Avant. Since then, it seems like there's this kind of trend going around where people are calling an end to violence in hip hop. Do you think that's going to make a difference?
You know what? I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of vloggers, a lot of bloggers, right? It starts with us, man. Like we have to, it's so hard to even answer that question because we're in a world where monetary and social media and things of that sort means more than someone else's life, you know? It's sad what happened to an 81-year-old woman, Jacqueline Avant. It's sad what happens to everyone out there. But you know what? Like I said, this goes to your question earlier. It starts with us because it's not the white man that's killing Draco. It wasn't the white man that killed Dolph. It wasn't the white man that killed Nipsey. It wasn't the white man that killed Stax. It wasn't the white man that killed Chinks. Come on, man. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Yo, if I was gambling right now, I'd be a millionaire. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So where does it start? It starts amongst us as individuals. That's why I go back to saying, you know what? We got to take ownership of who we are as individuals and who we are as people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I really respect that you're saying that. And I respect that you're not just saying it, but we see it in which you do.
Yeah, I mean, who killed Jacqueline Avant? Someone that looked just like me. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the sickening part of it. Like, you know, when you have ownership and say, you know what, this is fucking disgusting and it's happening amongst us in our own community. You know, you say defund the police, they defunded the police. Now look what's happening in LA. People getting robbed left and right. Look what's happening in New York. People getting robbed left and right. You feel what I'm saying? So what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's ownership. Own up to the shit that you do. When I grew up, OGs used to tell me, a man doesn't make excuses. A man accepts what he does and he makes it better. You know what I mean? If I'm selling drugs, I'm not going to make an excuse. Yo, I'm selling drugs to provide for my family. Nah, I'm selling drugs because I want a nice car, clothes, and I'm lazy. I don't want to get a job. I would respect that man more than you telling me you selling drugs to provide for your family because you could go work 3 or 4 jobs, even go away to the army. So it's all about ownership. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Take ownership in yourself.
Absolutely. So Godfather of Harlem, season 3. Is there a premiere date?
We don't have a premiere, but stay tuned. Top of the year, you can hit me back and we can talk about it.
Okay. How that sound? Okay, that sounds great because I will. I'm so in love with this show. I just want to say again, thank you for coming on the show. I don't want to hold you up. I know you have a lot to do. So thank you.
Say what?
I appreciate it.
And you know what? Have a happy holidays. Be safe out there and looking forward to talking to you top of the year.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you be safe too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Open up my window again.